drew a deep breath and raised his eyebrows.
"She's waiting for you."
"In the parlor?"
"Yes. This time, Miss Idina, I've been asked to escort you there myself."
"Of course you have." The last 3 times Idina had been summoned to the parlor of the ever-important Mrs. Annette Moorfield, which was honestly another office in the estate house, she'd conveniently found enough distractions to keep her from entering the room. Most of them were right out here on the sprawling grounds and impeccable gardens of Moorfield Manor, where she preferred to spend her time. "Reggie?"
"Yes, Miss Idina."
"I don't suppose you could tell her you couldn't find me?"
"Out of the question."
He turned toward the massive estate house, spanning 4 stories and stretching across the New Hampshire countryside, nodding in the general direction of Mrs. Moorfield's office.
"She spotted you under this tree and asked me personally to fetch you."
Idina huffed out a laugh as she slipped a piece of wax paper between the pages of her sketchbook before gathering up her charcoal and other miscellaneous art supplies. "I'm not a dog, Reggie."
"No. If you were, I believe you would be the one doing the fetching."
"Well, you're not a dog either."
"I'm merely doing—"
"Your job. I know. Don't shoot the messenger, right?" Reggie smirked as Idina stood with her sketchpad under one arm and the zippered bag of her supplies clenched tightly in her hand.
"A sentiment, I must say, I appreciate very much."
Giving him a small smile in return, despite knowing what was coming for her, she gestured toward the estate house and rolled her eyes. "Lead the way, then."
"You know the way."
"Yeah, but it looked more like I'm coming back inside with my tail between my legs if you're herding me across the lawn." He chuckled.
"Your references to canine habits are particularly amusing this afternoon."
The man was joking, of course. For a butler, a manservant, some people preferred to call him, and Idina had always hated the term, who served one of the oldest and most prestigious families in New England, Reggie Archibald didn't lack in quick-witted sarcasm. Not when he was speaking to Idina, at least. She was the only person on the entire estate, not part of the year-round staff, who got to see that side of him. Not part of the staff, and not really part of the family either. Merely floating here on this massive property, while she waited for her 18th birthday, only 2 months away in the 2nd week of September. Feels like I've been floating here my entire life, no matter what I try to do to change it.
"Very well."
Reggie nodded and unclasped his hands from behind his back before gesturing at the estate house.
"If you would follow me, Miss Idina."
"Yep, I'm on you like white on rice, Reg."
"What a riveting visual."
She followed the butler across the perfectly manicured lawn, through the gorgeously trimmed rows of the rose garden, and up to the glass French doors on the back patio. That patio was big enough to host tables, chairs, and refreshment tables for a party of 200 guests, at least, which it did at least once a year, whenever the Moorfields saw fit to throw one of their extravagant soirees. Now the dark granite stone was mostly empty, glistening in the sunshine around the thick shadow cast by the retractable awning. Idina eyed the lounge chairs with perfectly clean, perfectly sun-warmed cushions, 10 feet from the French doors, and wished she could be there instead, sprawled out in the sunshine, kicked back, without a single worry plaguing her mind. It was summer, after all. Every other high school graduate was out living it up like they were supposed to, taking trips abroad with friends, or putting the final touches on their college acceptance essays. Some were already picking the perfect apartment in the city because their parents could afford to provide them with the ultimate Ivy League experience. Idina wasn't that different from the rest of this year's graduating class from the White Mountain School. Not on the outside, anyway. At least she hadn't stood out at White Mountain, like a sore and bloody thumb, the way she stood out at Moorfield Manors. "I'm not even 18 yet. Not a real adult. Whoever came up with that rule is an idiot." Reggie led her through the estate house she knew like the back of her hand. The marble-floored ballroom faced the back patio. The slowly darkening hallways of the main floor led toward the back stairwell on the north wing. They walked past the polished foyer tables, stacked with impressively thick books, and